Hi, it's Megan. So I have gotten myself into a new palette. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've got a new palette. I've got the Viseart Professional Makeup Artist Kit, whatever. This is so smooth sometimes. Viseart eyeshadow palette, and this one is the Paris Nudes, which is number 06. They have the names of the shades, but they're not written on here. So I just have it from one of the website. On the back it's not written. They have the ingredients. So there are names for the shades, but it's not really that clear in the palette. So it looks like this. They're not that big. They're $80 for 12 shades. And so that's about $6.67 per shade. So it seems pricey, but they're actually pretty big. And there is absolutely no information on the website I got them on, which is Sephora, of the package size, but on the package there is. It's 0.72 ounce. And they are made in France, and Sephora carries them, and there are a bunch of other websites that carry them. So Sephora has 4. They have the Neutral Matte palette, the Bridal Satin palette, the Sultry Muse palette, and the Paris Nudes, but there's also another bright matte one that's available elsewhere. So what do they say? They say it's a professional eyeshadow palette that features sets of 12 shades. You're getting a professional quality look. These are used by makeup artists, film-tested professional products, stable in every artist kit. They're the workhorse of all professional artists. They have a dynamic cult following throughout all levels of artistry. Viseart's proprietary formulas created in small, tightly controlled batches to maintain pigment quality, powder integrity, and consistency. Viseart is the secret sauce for top Hollywood makeup artists as well as makeup and art enthusiasts of all genres. Each product functions as a multi-use tool. So that's a really interesting comment, that last one. The one I have, Sultry Muse, this one right here, Sultry Muse, that's so wrong. Paris Nudes is not as usable for other types of applications, and by that I think what they really mean is shading, just because the mattes I think are much better than something which has a little shimmer. So this is what it looks like, and I'm actually gonna go through these shade by shade in a second. I'm also going to describe the formula, but I did order 2 of these. These have been selling out a lot, and so when they popped up online I decided to get 2 of them. The last one I got was this one. I'm not going to swatch it or do anything. This is the Neutral Matte 01, but I figured I would at least show it because I like to take pictures, wear it a couple days before I say anything about it, and this literally arrived like 15 minutes ago in the mail. So anyway, this is the one I have. And Paris Nudes, they say about this one, create saturated eye looks with Paris Nudes palette inspired by the Parisian Fashion Week collections. This sophisticated palette features radiant textures and satins and shimmers and colors that range from sage to smoky plum to brune rose colors, and it pairs sheer and deep pigments for a smooth and even application. This versatile palette will ensure you flaunt modern and chic makeup looks. So first of all, the texture, and then I'll go through the shades. This palette is amazing. These shades are absolutely amazing. So when everyone is raving about something, there's probably some substance behind it. These are fabulous, amazing eyeshadows. They're kind of so shockingly good, it's embarrassing that other shadows can sometimes be so bad, frankly. What's so great about them? So first of all, the analogies to Tom Ford formula, the Tom Ford formula is, I think, on par. These are probably closest to Tom Ford of any other shadow that I've tried. With Tom Ford and with these, people talk about buttery and pigmented and creamy, and what that means with a shadow is just that you're not going into a cream, but it almost has like a creamy texture to it, in that it's not thicker but softer, more blendable, but not powdery, if that makes sense, because there's softer and powdery, and then there's softer and buttery where it still has almost a little bit of density to the richness of the shadow. I don't know if that's the best way I can describe it. And I actually had a really hard time sitting down and discerning what colors these were, because the Paris Nude palette has been described as iridescent or almost iridescent, and I think that's true. There's a certain subtle sheen to all of the shades. This is the whole thing. I'm going to be like, this is so hard to describe. when I was looking at the colors, they would have a really rich, deep pigmentation, which is stunningly beautiful. These are all more muted shades, but they have this stunning, rich, deep pigmentation, very sophisticated colors, very wearable, flattering colors, because there's pretty colors and then there's colors that you can wear and look good on people. These look really good, as opposed to like, whoa, what a pretty color. They're just amazingly flatteringly on every single one. But there's like this undertone to all of them, which made it really hard to describe them. So it's like you have this slightly shimmery, glistening plum, let's say, and then it's got a little bit, tiny micro shimmer of pink and blue or something in it. But very hard to discern because everything is so finely milled. It's got a real deep complexity, and it's just really stunning on. It looks a little bit less fake and more just like, wow. Isn't that a great word to describe? Wow. And then I also, so I'm going to show brushes and then we'll get to the colors. This brush right here is a type of brush I absolutely hate. When you see the videos I do, I tend to never use brush like this. And I realize why today. I don't like these because they tend, I think, to be really sloppy. And I guess working with the palette I'm working with, I realized that this particular eyeshadow goes where you put it. So I tend to like really smaller, like flatter, harder brushes, because then I can put it where I want it and it just goes there. Whereas with something like this, I feel like it gets everywhere, it's sloppy. These shadows go where you put them. So if you use a brush, it's a thin brush, you get a thin line. If you use a fat brush, you get a fat brush. A line where you put it, as opposed to it like getting everywhere and being powdery and getting all over. So I can actually use a brush like this with these shadows, which I never do. And then the other thing about these, they last forever. They last a good 9-10 hours without an eyeshadow primer. I actually haven't tried them with an eyeshadow primer, which is unusual for me. But as I've been wearing it, I haven't needed an eyeshadow primer. They stay put. They are beautiful when you put them on, and they are beautiful 8 or 9 hours after. And also, the colors there when I put it on with an eyeshadow primer. I have mixed feelings about primers. I'm always trying different ones because I feel like some suck up too much color, but with many eyeshadows, if you don't use them, you don't have eyeshadow after 2 hours or even sometimes after 10 minutes. So this one, I have not even tried it with an eyeshadow primer. It does not need it. They're beautiful. So anyway, is the hype worth it? I've only tried this one palette, but yeah, it kind of is. Okay, so describing this palette. Muted, smoky, iridescent. That's what I wrote. And then I said that they're kind of mid-toned, like medium cool, medium warm, or just kind of in the middle. This is a very balanced palette between kind of cool and warm shades. And then because a lot of these colors have that complexity, there'll be like a white with a little bit of gold in it and a gold with a little bit of white in it. And so they tend to lean more in the neutral middle phase of the spectrum, which makes them more wearable, frankly. And I didn't feel any of them were extremely warm or extremely cool. The other thing I would say about this palette is, the one criticism I would have is I don't think it's a standalone palette. It has only 2 lighter shades that kind of can be used as a base shade, you know, for right up in this area, right under the eyebrows, which I guess people wear less these days. That's less common. When I first learned makeup, you had to put something there to even out the texture of your skin tone. So if you don't wear eyeshadow there, you don't have to worry. But there were only these 2. They're great highlight shades too. So I actually use this brush today, but just putting them like in the little inner corner of your eye. This one, which is like a white with a gold undertone, and this one, which is like gold with a white undertone, are really beautiful. Okay, so the individual shades, and I'm not going to go through the names because, like I say, I have a list of the names, but this is what the palette looks like. There's no names on it, so we're going to start here, and there's no mirror. You know, the packaging is fine. It's sturdy. It's fine. So, starting here. This one I felt was like a champagne pink, and some of these lighter shades are not going to show up quite so well on camera. They never do. You can see it's just a muted smoky pink with a champagne kind of undertone to it. Really pretty color. I love that color. I'm not a big pink fan. It's not that I don't like pink, it's just that I have slightly warm undertones, so pinks don't always look good on me. This right here, this is one of my favorite shades. Look how just smooth and even that applies. It's like a white, but it has a really cool gold undertone. This has been like my favorite type of shade lately, and they're really, until recently for me, they've been hard to find. Just got lucky. This is right up here and right in the inner corner of my eyes. The next shade right here, this is a light gold copper. So you can see it is a warm color, but not, wow, so warm. The next one is, like I said, almost the reverse of the white one. It's like a gold, but to make it more, oh, it's not going to show up very much because of my skin. See, that's what I mean about having a yellow undertone. You can't really see it on my skin very well. It's right there. The camera's good though, I might pick it up, but you can see the outdoor swatch too. God, that really does blend with my skin. It's like a slight sheen gold, but to make it less warm, it's got a white undertone. And I actually have biases with gold in particular. I feel like golds are one of the shades that have the most undertones, making them among the most widely varying shades. This is a really wearable version. This right here, this is a brown, and it almost has like a purple undertone to it, or a reddish undertone. Really an interesting color. I said it's a mid-tone brown with purple and copper undertone. That's how I wrote it down. Let me show you that one again since I kind of changed the description. It's weird that you can have like a copper and a purple undertone, but it does. And then the next one is a brown with a gold and a pink gold undertone to it. Like I said, these are super complex. So right there, see, these two are really pretty together. In fact, I actually mixed some of the browns and the purples together, and they were so pretty together, which I would normally not do, but because of the undertones in these, it worked. Okay, this next one is a warm copper. This is one of the warmest shades in the palette. Look at, and by the way, all I'm doing is swatching, wiping, and look at the pigmentation of those. Friggin' amazing. The next color is, again, very complex. This one is a brown-ish. I said with a gold and olive undertone. This one's a light one, so I'm going to try to, nah, it's not going to show up that much. But you can see, it's not that it's not pigmented, it's just that it's a very subtle, sophisticated, flattering shade on. The next one is, there are two purples. I'm actually going to do the two purples and then the shades in the middle after. So I'm going to do this one right here. And I have these on my eyes. I just decided to do purples. Yesterday I was actually wearing the browns and the coppers. It was really pretty. But today I have the purples on just because I wore this morning and I just loved it so much. It's in the inner part of my eye. This is the lighter of the purple. And I put that this one was purple with slight plum and pink undertones to it. So you can actually see almost like micro shimmer of pink. But look at how muted and beautiful that is. I love these kind of colors. The darker purple, I said, has pink and blue undertones to it. So this one I have under my eyes. You can see the two. This one does look a little bluer. I have this under my eyes and then in the outer part of the eye. Now I'm going to do the middle. There is a gold taupe right there, and this one's a little bit cool, and then a cool brown with like pink and gold undertones. That's what I actually wore with the purples, because it almost seems a little purplish. And these two also are really pretty together. So I have really nothing but wonderful, amazing things to say about this palette. You know, when I try these shades on, I find that they are just so stunning and so flattering. Muted, sophisticated, reliable, beautiful on. They're just, it's an amazing palette. So I love it. Anyway, that's it. I will do a review, separate review on YouTube with the other palette when I've had a couple days just to kind of play with it and try it on. Playing with 12 shadows does take a little while, especially when you have shadows that wear as long as these do, because you can't try out another color combination the same day. So sometimes these do sell out online, but there are a bunch of different retailers that have them if your preferred site doesn't. And if you have any of the others, I would really love to hear thoughts, what people have to say, if there are some that I just shouldn't miss. And I think that's it for this. Please subscribe on YouTube. It makes a huge difference to me. It really helps. And that's it. Thanks.